March is the month of giving, and I gotta say, y'all exceeded my expectations. We passed our initial goal of $100 in one day. Now, I want to try to get to 1,000 by the end of the month. Remember, the organization, PFLAG, helps LGBTQ people and their families, and Roger was even named the gayest cartoon character of all time by Logo TV in 2014. He would want to help kids like Next Benedict. And remember, you are loved, you are wanted, and you got this. Now on with the video.
You were right. I'd gotten complacent, and I needed your little push to get back on track. And boy, am I back. You wanted interesting characters?
I am so glad I got the Roger persona video out of the way. You didn't do the TBS era. Crap. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about American Dad, or more specifically, Roger and his personas. Again, this time it's TBS. Now, while the Fox era laid the foundation for Roger's personas, in this version, Roger is firmly set in his ways, and his personas have gone from random characters of the week to people with full-on identities, to the point where, in Persona Assistant, Roger taking a week-long vacation causes the town to fall into chaos. However, that doesn't mean I'm a huge fan of the TBS era, even if they have produced some pretty great personas. It's kinda similar to the pre-Jordan Edelstein era, where Roger might have good disguises, but many of them don't even have names. Like this chick. We don't have a name, even if she's one of my favorites. I just call her Yasmin Lutera, pregnant single mother. And it sucks because I love the designs, and I wish they came back and had full-on identities. On top of that, the TBS era often uses callbacks to the Fox era, and that includes personas, which means they often reuse personas, and this gives me less to talk about. But there's still a lot of fun to be had, and I compiled a list of 15. Same rules apply, which means 30 personas in total across 2 different videos. So, let's discuss, starting with
Hey, Terry, it's me. Wait, who do you know me as?
Stan's Uncle Roger.
Good for me for keeping it simple.
Kitty, Uncle Roger came from Fox. I think the Bar Mitzvah episode. Hear me out. Well, yes, Uncle Roger does come from the Fox era. I consider him more of a TBS persona than a Fox one, and that's for one simple reason: usage. In the Fox era, Uncle Roger was used every once in a while, and Roger's more frequent persona was Uncle Cappy. Plus, there was the fact that the Fox era didn't really reuse personas, outside of a quick cameo, if at that, or a quick mention. In the TBS era, when interacting with people outside of the home, for situations that typically don't require another persona, think like Snot or Al Tuttle, Roger often defaults to Stan's Uncle Roger. Roger does it so frequently to the point of it being perhaps his most common persona ever. Like the wiki when we get to the section with all of the Roger personas, they actually stopped listing episodes where Uncle Roger appears, just because he wasn't that many, so what's the point? Heck, in Book of Fisher, when we see the world's years in the future when Jeff becomes a messiah, Uncle Roger becomes Roger's main persona, albeit with robotic implants, like with Future Stan.
Still alive and kicking after all these years. Pretty annoying how everyone worships Jeff now, but gotta put up with it.
My favorite Uncle Roger episode has to be the one where Roger goes blind at Tuttle's solar eclipse party.
Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Well, I'm blind.
Wait, shouldn't he have sun madness? And he spends the entire episode being blind and thinking he's a daredevil. The best part is when he's at the movies and he acts disruptive.
Here, I'm gonna dictate a message to you.
Shut the hell up!
Shut up, you...
Get out of here, why don't you?
Fine. I told you this was a stupid idea.
Now, part of me is a little upset that Roger does this so frequently. It gives less time for other possible personas, but I think I know why he does this. In the earlier seasons, Roger rarely interacted with the neighbors, for whatever reason, usually because Stan forced him into the attic or the cupboard. So it made sense for the Smiths to just lie to everybody and say that Roger was a tenant renting out space in the attic, hence the revolving door of personas. But as Roger spent more time with the neighbors, and said neighbors have become a more integral part of the show, to the point where there was a whole episode that explained why the Smiths never get new neighbors, and as he no longer has to keep up appearances around Jeff, it makes more sense for him to just lie and say, "Oh yeah, I'm Stan's uncle." Plus, Uncle Roger is probably the easiest for him to keep up, and doesn't have as huge of a backstory, so it earns a spot, but this is at least how I choose to justify it.
Jeans.
Good! Now show 'em who you are!
I'm Gina LTI, and this is me.
Like we saw with Max Jets, there are times when the Smith family are willing to play along with Roger's personas. With Francine, it's Gina LTI, her close friend, because Linda Mamari either died or moved away, or she's a background character, or a Roger persona we can't see through.
But I'm meeting my dear friend, Gina LTI here, so... You gonna go change into her or what?
Out of curiosity, is Gina's name based on Gina from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, aka my least favorite of the cast because she's basically Mabel Pines all grown up? However, one thing I will praise the TBS seasons for is how they take advantage of Roger's super speed, outside of it simply being a plot device to explain the personas. It's great to see Roger, Francine, and Gina having a conversation, and Francine just going along with it.
You're the one who's an hour late.
At least I showed up, unlike you, to my candle store opening. Hey, I think I'm gonna bounce.
Gina, to put it one way, is a clingy mess of a friend. But to help get her confidence up, Francine suggests that she should oh my god, it's gonna be a tongue twister. That she should sell something, oh god, on the Langley Home Shopping Network. Jewelry? Oh come on, Roger would totally scam old people.
Are you in support of that idea?
Oh yeah! Yeah, you should totally do that.
Gina eventually settles on jeans, which are meant to help bell-bottom babes.
So if you don't have toothpick legs like the women in magazines, pick up the phone. My jeans are built for women who are built like me. Normal.
I would love those jeans. Either my pants don't go past my butt crack, or I get chub rub and they're full of holes. Make them fit my weirdo contours.
But the jeans make us beautiful! You don't need jeans to be beautiful! Easy for you to say, you skinny
However, there's a little problem with the jeans. They seem to call people to follow the coordinates.
Also, my jeans would be so mad at me if I didn't say
10, 21, 16, 47.
Okay, those are definitely coordinates.
I did some research and apparently they lead to either Harvard or Jacoba, Chad in Africa. This is because to mass produce the jeans, Roger used part of the seatbelt from his spaceship in Roswell. So what if the jeans have that? I mean, do you know what's in a hot dog?
You were right! I was being a bad friend.
That's great, Francine, but we're a little past that now, being in the middle of what I can only assume is a jeans death march.
While I do like Gina, I wonder what was gonna happen once they got to the coordinates. I wish we at least got to see it. But Gina and Francine encourage the women to take off their jeans, and they form into this.
Jeans, do you have a message for us?
Confidence is sexy.
Preach it, brother!
Oh, that farm boy. Jesse. Percy, stop that clicking! Damn clicking will be the end of me.
Szanto song. Sorry, I was just singing a Szanto song. It was stuck in my head, and it's called Szanto song. I gotta say though, she's probably the hottest out of all of Roger's personas, next to Laura Vanderbooben. And wow, another persona with Roger's name in it. That's pretty cool. Stan accidentally drinks Francine's wine, which he wasn't supposed to, and he consults with Roger on how to replace it. Roger tries to help, but the vine he cultivates isn't the best, and worst of all, causes him to get trapped in a twister.
There's a corpse in here! I'm going out the top!
Eventually, Roger ends up in Townsville. Wrong one. This Townsville, where he operates a dried flower store as Julia Rogers. Everybody knows Julia was betrayed before she came to town and wants a fresh start, which she apparently gets by dating a farm boy named Jesse, who for some reason refuses to touch her despite her request.
I hope you understand. I can't let you come inside.
I respect that.
So you can either do it on my back or my feet. Dealer's choice.
Good night, sweet Julia!
One night, Stan returns, not because he wants Roger home, but because he wants the vine. Jerk. Roger escapes and he comes upon Jesse and a bunch of other neighbors.
Oh, and you're tying me up so I'm not tempted to join the fight. Always the gentleman. Now here's something I can't figure. Why are these fine folks putting on crow masks?
The reason the town is so cool, they're a cult dedicated to the crow god. Head crow guy. Once a year, a pure maiden, who is gonna be Julia because none of them are gonna do it, must be sacrificed to ensure a bountiful corn harvest. But imagine even if they kill Roger, nothing's gonna happen.
Whoa, pure maiden? Me? I had sex with a guy on the truck ride over here. It was him, brown corduroys.
Her talented mouth tells lies!
Kinda reminds me of South Park. Ugh, outside of Wicker Man, it's always a maiden. That's sexist. Why can't for once it just be a guy? Stan eventually frees Roger, much to his dismay.
No, I get it, Stan. I get that they're trying to kill me. It was just hard for me to give up the dream of you getting worked over by a bunch of country bumpkins.
They hide out in Roger's shop and then use explosives to kill the villagers. While I do love this persona, I have a critique about the episode. I feel like they spend way too much time at the Smith house rather than the small town Julia's in. True, we need to build up to Roger leaving everything behind and running away, but what if the episode started in medias res, where we open up on this beautiful small town and then we hear about a girl named Julia, and then Julia's Roger. Cut to the theme song. Then it turns out that Julia is running away from somebody awful named Stan. Then she goes downstairs and meets Stan, and then we get all of these flashbacks. I guess maybe this would be too close to the episode 200, but still.
What do you get out of this Frankie thing?
Actually, I get some great intel for Fikowski Asphalt. It's me, Dom Fikowski. You'll never make it a week!
Roger is many things, among them a coward, but it tends to be overshadowed by his other personality traits, especially his sociopathy. Thankfully, we see it represented with a few of his personas, my all-time favorite being Frankie Carcone. You know, I thought for a while it was Freddie Carcone, but I don't know, it was weird until I watched the closed captions. I was like, why can I never Google this one persona?
Dumb Frankie! Dumb!
Frankie, please! Oh crud, he reminds me of me. Stan learns that a giant tree is being cut down and a sports stadium put in its place. Stan is upset because the tree was very important to him when he was a child. It was the giving tree, not the receiving tree, like his deadbeat father.
Something I can depend on when so often life is cruel and unreliable. He has been, and always will be, there for me.
That book always makes me tear up, especially now that I'm older. But the robot chicken sketch always makes me laugh. You know, Shel Silverstein actually hated that book. Stan tries to stop the construction and he succeeds, but it turns out one of Roger's other personas already has a contract with the city to use asphalt to kill the tree.
With all the balmy, roasting breezes, it's gonna feel like we're on permanent vacation. And if you're still on the fence, free asphalt!
Stan talks him out of it, but the project goes to another contractor, the Carcone brothers.
I knew it'd be you. You have to cancel this project. You promised.
But I don't control anything around here. I'm just dumb old Frankie. My twin brother Freddy's the boss, and what he says goes.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Frankie's not working alone. After all, he has a twin. I bet it's Roger.
Damn it, Frankie! You just let some nut come in and open my plywood door?
He was so fast, Freddy.
You have a human brother?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay then. And I have questions. You know, maybe it's better if I don't ask those questions.
I'm sorry, Mama.
However, throughout the episode, Frankie ends up accidentally, if that's how you choose to interpret it, helping Stan in his quest to save the tree.
Please get down. Freddy says the budget's so tight that if you delay us just 7 days, the whole thing will be canceled, saving your stupid tree.
But every time he messes up, he takes it personally, because his brother's kind of a jerk.
No, I made a gay slur, then he threw it back in my face by acting like the kind of fruit that grows on trees.
Everybody thinks so fast.
Aww. Granted, these efforts are in vain because Stan leaves the tree to go be a parent to Steve. Hey, that rhymes. But it's good enough to warrant a spot. Is that good for you?
He's gone. Frankie gets the pizza. Oh, it was horrible. She made me call her Mama God. She kept me in a cage and only fed me moths. Actually developed a taste for them.
Wow, who knew American Dad was going to tackle missing white woman syndrome? You already said that in the last video. Okay, well, who knew they were going to tackle it with a gray-skinned alien? I did. Me. Roger seems to have gotten soft when it comes to his personas, and the Smiths notice, especially Francine.
Wow, Roger. Have you lost your edge?
How dare you?
You've clearly lost something.
I haven't lost anything, and I'll prove it to you.
To help, Roger wants Francine to take him out to the park, dressed as a rarely used persona. Ricky Spanish? No, actually.
Maybe take a little girl, whose only noteworthy quality is her ability to chew raisins very thoroughly, to the park.
Of course.
At the park, they get a lot of stares, and it turns out the persona Roger was using was Bonnie Ramirez, a kidnapped child beauty queen.
What the hell is going on?
Decided to dust off an old chestnut to teach you a lesson. Who's lost their edge now, you perv?
That poor, confident little girl.
Think about it like John Benet Ramsey, if instead of being kidnapped and killed by some Puerto Rican guy, was just plain old kidnapped.
Bonnie was gone forever. Until this week, when she was spotted at the park with a woman going by Francine Smith.
Francine is arrested, and Bonnie lies to the police and says that Francine kidnapped her and tortured her for years. Roger tries to help her by acting as her lawyer. Oh, okay. Only he's gone soft, so he kind of forgets what a lawyer does.
All evidence must be submitted in advance.
I couldn't submit it in advance. I staged it last night.
This gets the book slammed at Francine, and she goes to prison. And for some reason, Stan can't just tell the judge to free her like he did with Gwen. This case gets to be so popular that a reenactment is made, and the actress who plays Francine starts to befriend the Smiths and go on vacations with them.
Where do me begin?
Well, for starters, have you even visited Francine yet?
No.
We're going to visit her right now. I'll gather the others.
They go to visit her in prison, and Roger uses his super speed to switch the two, as in Francine and her actress. Now, part of me wondered if Roger really was going soft, or if this was a massive plan. But considering the ending...
Not supposed to be here!
Listen to all those eyes. Focus on how selfless it is to do 4 life sentences for someone.
Yeah, he was a lying sack of
Question. So, but before the accident, this, worked for you?
Yeah. I mean, clearly I have a type.
If this isn't Roger in a nutshell, I don't know who is. In My Fair Lady, Haley gets a job working at an office. Oh my god, that's like my greatest nightmare. Next to the IRS, I swore I would never work in a cubicle as long as I lived. There, she meets a hot guy named Axe Jenkins. That sounds like a brand of cologne, or a possible Roger persona.
You must be the new hire. And I must say, your Gilbert Gottfried is flawless. Axe Jenkins. Just wanted to welcome you to the company.
Since this was during the Lost in Space arc, Haley starts to fall for Axe. Because Jeff isn't coming back, at least for the time being, the company decides to take them on a business trip to Belize. Unbelievable! At least until another co-worker lets it slip that he's married.
He is one of the world's most eligible bachelors.
Yeah, he is pretty great.
His wife's one lucky woman.
Wife?
Married? That lying, cheating piece of crap. Axe swears to Haley that he and his wife only really have a paper marriage, and for certain reasons he cannot get into, he cannot divorce her. So it wouldn't really be cheating.
I really like you, and I think if you got to know me, you'd like me too.
I'm sorry, Axe. You're married. I can't do it.
Roger, who's acting as Haley's life coach, gets word about Axe and decides to travel down to Belize and push the two closer together with trust exercises.
What are you doing?
I got you the job. Now I'm getting you the man. You and you're a team.
Later that night, Haley and Axe decide to consummate their affair until Haley finds a tattoo.
Oh my god, what the hell's that?
Oh, the tattoo. Yeah, that's my wife. Don't worry, the way I have... You won't be seeing her much.
Two things. One, oh crap, that's Roger. Two, if the early seasons are anything to go by, Doggy Style is Haley's favorite, so yeah, that would be good. Wait, why? You don't do anything! As it turns out, Roger is Rosalind. He wanted to steal Axe's money for a lengthy divorce, but Axe forced Rosalind to sign a prenup, which is only voided if one of them cheats on the other. In this case, it would be Axe.
Oh, it's always about you. What about Rosalind's life? Can't she win one for a change?
To force the issue, he pretended that Rosalind had a freak accident, choking on a pixie stick, paralyzing her diaphragm, and having to spend all her time in the iron lung.
So you live with your wife? Like, all the time?
Yeah, I mean, much of the time she's out of town for her experimental treatments.
There it is.
Roger convinced Haley to take the office job in order to void the prenup and get the money. And after Haley gets laid off, he offers to give her part of the divorce settlement if she sleeps with Axe. However, out of revenge, Haley outs Roger to Axe. Sort of. Well, in a way where he will still lose everything.
Forget it. Well, this was a waste of 8 years.
Roger, you're 1,600 years old. That should be like nothing to you.
He's my ride.
He?
You didn't hear the voice?
Great eggs, everybody!
Did you drive here?
Am I supposed to go? Or are we gonna after party?
I'll be honest, this is one of my all-time favorite American Dad episodes. I'm Italian, and we all totally act like this, totally.
What the hell is in that sauce?
Steve, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but there probably was nothing in that sauce. You and your family were experiencing agita from the spaghetti. One of my favorite parts about Roger is how he obsesses over people like a fanboy. It's kinda cute. Shell Game involves Steve and Roger birdwatching, a favorite pastime of theirs, because they're birdwatching buddies. And then they see somebody stealing eggs. They go to Professor Hadley, who tells them that the egg thief belongs to the Order of the Hand and Nest, an organization of rich white guys who collect eggs at the expense of everything else.
It's appalling.
Exactly. Wait, you're not our air conditioning repairman. That's our air conditioning repairman. Ha-ha!
She implores Steve and Roger to help stop them, but Roger defects and joins the Order as this guy.
St. John St. John, retired maritime lawyer and avid egg collector.
Ooh.
Wow, what a creepy old guy. I'm so happy I could cry. Roger spends the entire episode obsessing over the Order's head, the Commodore, in a Roger kind of way, which kind of annoys him. And this is also on top of being obsessed with eggs.
Slowly. Real careful like.
I know!
Eyes on the egg, don't get distracted.
Roger and Steve end up on opposing sides, and Roger is fine with this little song and dance until he finds out about a century egg. An egg which, by its name, is laid once every 100 years by a century eagle.
It's the rarest egg in the world.
Rarest. I think we should, and hear me out on this, fellas, collect this egg.
Now, while I don't have a problem with the order collecting eggs, I do have a problem if they're doing it with endangered species. And I do well to assume that the century eagle is endangered, or even more than endangered. Wait, what's worse than being endangered? Critically endangered? Ugh. The order knows that Steve will be a thorn in their butts, so Roger helps get rid of him, because he lives with him.
And this terrifying boy that's galvanized them, he keeps defeating us.
In the field, yes. But what if we got him in the nest?
He didn't think to do this beforehand. He takes Steve to Skull Island.
Skull Island? Like where King Kong comes from?
Yes, that one. And the Order decides to kill Steve the same way they would an egg. Seriously, you can't just stab and or shoot him? You'd be done a lot quicker. Maybe you're the problem.
Let me talk you through the procedure. It'll be completely painless until I start. We'll make a small hole in the base of your skull.
Roger doesn't want to rescue Steve because he found the century egg. But before Steve can be harvested, Roger throws the egg away, realizing his friendship with Steve is much more important. And he also lets go of his crush on the Commodore. Commodore!
I know!
Years ago, I looked into Mr. Javitz's glowing red eyes, and I've been doing his heinous bidding ever since. And I never looked back, unless I was bid to.
Wow, and I thought the egg guy had a weird name. Roger had the job I had in college before I started YouTubing, sitting at a desk and taking care of a place. Granted, I had to do a bunch of stuff with packages, and I worked at one of those condo places. So good for Roger. Roger's new persona is a mall taker at a dead mall.
The mall's best days are behind her. But you should have seen this place in the heyday.
Oh my god, I had a dream about that last night. It was the worst. Its owner, Mr. Javits, is off trying to find a new tenant, and the mall is on its last legs. Mr. Javits hasn't been back in 25 years, and they want to tear down the mall and add condos. Oh my god, like those freaks in Monmouth.
We're going to demolish the mall and build condos.
Condos? The worst of all residences!
Why do I like this persona? Well, it's always nice to see Roger deal with the supernatural, something we rarely see, which is kind of weird, but I get it, he's supernatural himself. Steve tries to tell him that Mr. Javits won't be back, but eventually he does return, and it turns out Mr. Javits is really a warlock who forced Roger to work for him by glancing into his glowing red eyes.
And become bound to me forevermore.
But you've already got me.
Yes, but Steve is, what's the word? Better?
I'm sorry, I love Mr. Javits. And Roger knows the truth about the mall being evil, like the church from the Borderlands, and he accepts this. And he doesn't care. Plus, his whole dynamic is kind of like a female friend who constantly gets friend-zoned, especially when Mr. Javits openly favors Steve over him.
Obviously, I'm gonna do this for you, but before I go, could I maybe just look into your glowing red eyes for like 1 second?
Maybe later, dude.
Totally get it.
Poor dude. He takes care of a mall for decades, and all of the ghosts, and he gets no thanks. He even gets a catchy song. Please, Mr. Javits is so unappreciative. Somebody punch him. Good for you.
The Grouch couldn't stand to see all these people, every one of them so horny. He said to the heavens,
I must find a way to stop this orgy!
Okay, last Christmas I did the top 10 best American Dad Christmas episodes, and many of you told me to check out their most recent Christmas special, The Grouch, but I wasn't up for it. It took me a few watches to enjoy it, and I still think it didn't really need a B-plot, like that could have been its own episode. Still, Roger eating oatmeal for breakfast encouraged me to do the same whenever I have a con. Trust me, it's a good slimming device. Every year, Roger holds a party, which is an excuse for a giant depraved orgy. Hey, that rhymes. Often in his attic. However, when he tries to make it a little more fanciful, like insisting they sit and eat and talk before they get into the nasty, it all gets ignored. Roger swears off boinking, and Professor Hadley, another party goer, agrees.
I like your vibe, strange woman. Roger, professional uncle.
Elizabeth!
You know, if we're both really serious, there's something we can do.
We got married!
They marry and have one of those marriages where they swear off doing it. Oh my god, I could never. I'm so sorry. Like, if you want to do that, that's fine, but like, I could not. Wait, aren't you a monk? Aren't you? Exactly. They live up in the mountains, swearing off boinking, and over the course of a year, quickly get bored.
Woodworking. A true lasting pleasure. I can do this all night. But it's been a long day. I think it's time to hit the hay.
I mean, I get it. They can't boink each other, but they couldn't play with themselves. How does that count? Roger and Elizabeth both hate it, but they try to not say they hate it for the sake of the other. The final straw comes when Elizabeth leaves him to go to Tuttle's party. As Roger wasn't there for a whole year, come on, somebody had to step up to the plate.
Elizabeth? Wait a minute. I've been whatever is Chinese for betrayed.
Roger feels betrayed, and a combo of that and the year-long dry spell causes Roger to turn into the Grouch and grow green hair all over his body.
Whoa, Roger.
I am not Roger anymore. Call me the Grouch. The Grouch who stole Christmas.
Roger, now the Grouch, decides to ruin the fun by stealing all of their literal noodle implements. Like Bullock's Rudy Tooty Booty Stacks, that's my favorite. But despite this, they still manage to have a good time. And Roger realizes that people don't have massive lemon parties for the sake of it, but to feel good about themselves and the people around them.
It's about feeling inside.
But that's exactly what the Grouch didn't feel.
I guess before bed, I'll have a sad bowl of oatmeal.
Which makes Roger feel worse because he looks like this. At least until it turns out he lost weight.
I've lost 2 pounds. It must be all that oatmeal I've been eating. Dang, I look skinny as hell. Ho, ho.
Yay! Roger returns to the party, apologizes to the partygoers, gives them back their stuff, and they let him in.
Elizabeth, I want you first.
A few hours later, if at that, Roger, because he boinked Elizabeth, is no longer green, and he's finally satisfied, unlike Angelica. I guess somebody got a stocking stuffer this holiday season.
Be right there, Mom. Just gonna grab my kite.
Okay, here we go. Ah! Perfect.
Okay, I guess this one does violate my naming rule, but to be fair, he's a frickin' kite. Technically speaking, he's not supposed to have a name. Originally, I thought about including the flower, where we get a bunch of different twists and turns, but this one felt a little more sentimental, which was weird for Roger. As it turns out, every year on a little boy's birthday, who probably reminds him of a little Steve, Roger assumes the persona of a kite. Why? Well, the boy's neglectful mother bought him the kite, and his birthday is the only time she pays attention to him.
That's the point! All the time I'm having so much fun with my personas. But you can't have the highs without the lows. Just like you can't have a rainbow without orange.
OMG, that's sad.
Okay, the worst is over.
Now, when you were a kid, did you ever try to see if your kite could go up into the sky? I tried. I never succeeded. Well, the kid tries, and because Roger is an alien, he actually ends up succeeding.
Stan, the time to loop is now!
Meaning, Roger spends most of the episode, "Don't you be my neighbor," stuck in space. Which, I think it's funny how he's acting.
This is so embarrassing. I better not run into anyone I know up here.
You know, that's actually a definite possibility. However, he is able to make it home by finding a meteor and riding it into Langley.
A little more west, and that should put me down in our pool.
The reason this one got included, besides sentimental reasons, because he destroys those pesky neighbors.
That's the pool. Howdy, neighbors.
We're not your neighbors anymore! What she said!
Roger, I totally understand. Oh, and next year, he decides to make it up to the kid to have an even better birthday.
Whoa! Awesome new space kite!
Happy birthday, kiddo.
Aww, Roger.
think motherhood
Boring! This guy has derailed the town long enough. We need to get back on track.
Wait a second, was this their version of a Trump episode? Just saying, I feel like they could totally do an episode where Roger is really Trump, kinda like they did with the Generalissimo, but it's just a pipe dream, a possible spec script. Railroaded C-Stan want to know why they cannot build a bullet train in Langley.
Guys?
A conservative estimate for a bullet train is in the billions, and using a bullet train for intercity travel makes no sense at all.
Let Stan finish.
Well, Stan, not only do we not have the infrastructure, but the airline companies apparently lobby Congress against other methods of travel. I don't know how true that is, don't take my word for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. The mayor, of course, refuses the request, and Stan decides to run against him. Roger becomes his campaign manager, W. Willard Warts.
I've never mentioned it because I'm humble as hell. But as W. Willard Warts, I ran Adlai Stevenson's presidential bids. Landslide losses laughed out of the Beltway.
I'm just gonna call him Willard. Of course, Stan gets elected, but getting elected is the easy part. So following in the footsteps of his heroes, George Bush and Karl Rove... What was that? Why'd it get colder? Stan allows Roger to rule in his place. And Roger, well, once again, don't you remember Moon over Isla Island? How he changed everything up and then the people rioted against him? Back then, it was comical. Here, it's kinda not. Kinda. I mean, I thought it was funny.
You know why you had a good time? Because I was doing all the boring work stuff. The mayor's job is to delegate. So you put me in charge of building the train, and you focus on this fun puzzle.
Roger ends up throwing everybody who disagrees with him into the Bazooka Shark Stadium. You know, I'm surprised they never made a Katrina joke. And eventually, this includes Stan, who is titularly the frickin' mayor, just for daring to question him. Why was Roger doing this? Was it because he doesn't know how to rule a town either? Well, in actuality, he wanted to open an Urban Outfitters.
What the hell does your weird store have to do with this?
I was sick of driving 90 minutes to buy a pillow shaped like a taco.
Oh my god, he's super evil. Why couldn't they get an actually cool store like a Primark or an H&M? But then again, their weirdo outfit choices would definitely appeal to Roger.
And while I'm admitting stuff, I also slept with, like, all our interns. Even the chubby one. His name is Noah. We're in love, and we don't care what you think.
Rather than just resign, thereby meaning Roger can no longer be in charge, Stan uses the bullet train to destroy the Urban Outfitters, and therefore destroy his power base. And because the mayor was killed in prison, James A. Garfield himself runs the town. Yay! Right? I know nothing about American history. How was James A. Garfield as a president?
Do you think this is what heaven's like?
No, heaven's got way more birds.
Roger is well known for having dozens, if not hundreds of personas, all with their own lives and identities and social security numbers. But that doesn't mean he always has mastery over his objectively cool juggling. During Roger needs, oh my god, I'm sorry, I can't say his name, I guess we'll have to call him Richard. Roger, as Becky Tenderhearts, begins to date Stan's co-worker. Richard. It's not my fault YouTube hates names.
Meet Becky Tenderhearts.
God damn it.
I gotta ask, how do you guys concentrate at work with this tub of hot roast beef slopping around?
Surprisingly, the pair get on pretty well. Like, I'm surprised there's no ulterior motive, just saying. Jenny from the block, which I'm pretty sure this episode was based on, had Roger date Snot just to build up his confidence. But he grew to love him. I thought the episode was going to reveal that Roger wanted to steal the boat or money or something like that. But no, he genuinely loves Richard. The problem is, Roger spends so much time as Becky that he starts to neglect all his other personas, like Clip Clop, the Leg Man, Jeannie Gold, Wedding Planner.
This man is innocent!
Who are you?
We're Wheels and... Legman? He's supposed to be here with the evidence.
So the Smiths try to get him back by showing Richard a photoshopped photo.
I don't know. It's Becky, but this looks old.
Look at the guy holding the newspaper.
2 days ago?
How could you?
You know, I'm surprised Roger wasn't the guy doing the kissing, not the girl being kissed. As in, I thought they were gonna reveal that he really was the guy doing the kissing. But then again, I don't think Roswell was until after World War II, if I'm not mistaken, am I? But I could always see them hand-waving this like he just went to Earth on a visit really quick, and then that happened, but eh. Of course, Richard breaks up with Roger, but Roger doesn't take this very well and decides to kill him with one of his other personas.
He tried to go unnoticed, but he can't get by our boys.
At least he'll save money, unlike Sidney Huffman. However, in the struggle, Becky dies.
And get a face tattoo of my face. That's not... yes. I'm not dying until I hear it.
Again, this feels like a rehash of Jenny, just with a touch of realism. Ew.
Hey, let go! I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thank God I tied a string to these corn nuts.
Oh, corn nuts. It's corn nuts. Is it just me, or does she look like Heather Chandler all grown up? Langley Dollar Listings is a popular television program focusing on people selling houses in Langley Falls.
Move it!
We're taking over.
This is Langley Dollar Listings.
And it's filmed here, in Langley Heights to be exact. Very exclusive. You would never be allowed up there, Steve.
Oh my god, I hate these shows. Like, my mom used to watch them all the time when I was little. I hated them. Like, there's no conflict to them, and all of these shows, like, are houses I will never be able to afford because of gentrification. Unless I move to Texas. I heard Caleb Hiles lives there. One of the agents, Trishelle, goes missing, and this leaves an opening. So Francine auditions and gets a part on the show, and one of her co-stars is a real estate agent named Shebecca Escrow, aka Roger.
A lot of people don't like salads because they're not filling enough. That's why I always order mine all garbanzo. This bad boy's about 30 pounds.
We all know Roger loves being the center of attention, and to this end, he will do whatever to stay on the show, until he inevitably gets bored of it in a couple of months.
Here's some corn nuts. I'll come get you in a couple of months when I get bored of this.
Like getting rid of Trishelle by throwing her into a ravine and giving her a concussion so badly that she starts selling homes to squirrels.
I was supposed to be the one that got the spot. I was the one that went to the open house and hid in a spice rack until it was over and pushed Trishelle into the ravine.
Roger!
Rather than actually try to escape despite having the means, and then trying to pull the same stunt on Francine. Hey, that rhymes. Only he did not mean to kill Francine. It was by complete accident. But he doesn't care because no competition. And as a rating stunt, he tries to forcibly baptize Tristan. Tristan? One of those two?
Tristan's baptism.
Where am I?
Yeah, it's Tristan. Trishelle's fiancé, who was going to willingly convert for her.
But you'd convert for Trishelle?
I loved her. I don't even know who you are.
Yay, you're Christian now.
The only good part about this is that Roger eventually gets his just desserts. His actions cause the show to get canceled and replaced with a spin-off about squirrel listings, hosted by Trishelle and Tristan. Karma!
Fart was a nice touch. Smells, too. Ladies and gentlemen, we could be looking at the next Emmett Kelly. Of sucking!
Oh.
One of my all-time favorite episodes of King of the Hill is Portrait of the Artist as a Young Clown, where Bobby took a clowning class at the community college, only to discover it was on classic clowning, not like circuses. Only because Bobby is a sponge when it comes to subcultures, he begins to listen to the Mr. Peanut Butter sounding weirdo, even if it nearly gets him made fun of. Well, it seems like American Dad saw that episode and decided, we're gonna dad it. And it's probably the best part of their worst episode. You know, the one where Stan cuts off Haley's face? Steve gets into a prestigious clowning school, only to discover that Roger is the professor.
The teacher here is supposed to be the most intense and demanding instructor in all of clowning, and it's Roger, isn't it? It's gonna be Roger.
All right, jagoffs, the name's H.J. Rimmons.
Maybe he'll take pity on Steve. No, he teaches Frowns for Clowns, the same class Bobby took.
Look to your left. Look to your right. By the end of the semester, 60% of you will be dead by your own hand. The rest will be clowns.
Roger makes the class hell on earth for Steve through a variety of clownish mind games.
Now get this through your skull, man, because I don't play mind games. You will never be a clown. You got potential, kid, and you can't teach that.
Now, in King of the Hill, Bobby got back at the clowning teacher by just doing his normal shtick, because even if classic clowning was funny from an academic perspective, doing what he used to was still appealing to an audience. Here, Steve tries to be realistic and just plays Karen by going to Roger's supervisor and getting his license suspended.
I'd like to file a report. An instructor, well, he hit me.
Which, to be fair, he has to do. Did you not see what Roger did to this poor kid? What makes it list-worthy is the revenge Roger tries to get on Steve. Emphasis on tries. 20 years later, probably long after Steve has forgotten about the whole clowning thing, and he's now a professor at Berkeley, he's talking about Sylvia Plath.
Bell jar papers are due Friday, no exceptions. Jenna, that means you.
He walks home one day, and he sees... Oh my god, it's Roger. It's Glad Hands, the creepy clown.
That's right. I've returned as an It-style evil clown named Glad Hands, thirsting for revenge. That's Glad Hands with a Z.
Granted, even if I did like the movie, I wish they did not make the clown look like this. True, he's iconic, but what kid is gonna just stand there and let the clown talk to them? Only, there's one thing Roger did not count on. Getting out of the sewer. Allowing Steve to flee.
How long ago did he walk away?
Oh, quite a while ago.
Then you shall inherit the curse of Glad Hands.
At least he tried. E for effort.
Martha, did you hear that? Stan, have you seen Martha move at all since you got here? Okay. I'm like, she was definitely alive last night. Oh, thank God.
I'm somebody who's trying to learn how to sew for cosplays, and yeah, he's definitely my idol. How do I get my own Martha? Not like a Gilead-style Martha, this Martha. Stan's trademark outfit is a CIA uniform, even when he's not working. He's that devoted, but obviously, you can't wear the same outfit for every circumstance. Bullock is holding a barbecue, which means casual wear, in heat, and Stan doesn't know what to wear.
Yes, baller as hell. Done.
It makes my shoulders look weird.
He tries his suit, but he gets stuck manning the grill, and he suffers heat stroke. At least he didn't crap in the pool.
Oh my God! Look at his fupa!
He laughed, and the laughter felt like bullets. Stan confesses that even if we've seen him in casual wear a couple of times before, if not more, that rhymes, he's always felt insecure about it.
I get so self-conscious about my pointy ankles, gentleman's fupa, and big weird chin. My body was built for suits. It's the only thing I feel confident in.
Believe me, I understand. I literally just found a bra that fits me, and it's a 40M. Of course, now I have to custom order them for huge amounts. So Stan goes to Roger's newest persona, Sir Jennings, to try and get some custom casual wear.
Stan, I'm about to lay some hard, earth-shattering truth on you. You should probably lie down. Things are about to get crazy real for you.
Now, while I do think Roger is some degree of gender fluid, and even if you aren't, you can totally cross-dress if you want. I wear a boy shirt from Hot Topic. In many ways, I do also consider what Roger does to be cosplay. He even said it in Rough Trade that he styled his own wig. Just saying, considering how much Roger does, I feel like after a while, it just makes sense for him to learn how to make his own clothes versus buying them, or commissioning somebody to do it. Sir Jennings is a world-renowned fashion designer, having his own team of seamstresses and a mistress in the form of his lead seamstress, Martha.
Imelda, Agnes, Vera, Gooper. I have a Gooper too. Martha. Martha's the one I'm sleeping with.
And Rogu is his little assistant.
Rogu, I'm the only thing not burning.
Jennings determines that because Stan wants to be silly and playful in his casual attire, his outfit should be goose-themed, a silly goose. And it works. The outfit earns Stan much admiration from his co-workers at the next barbecue, and he finally finds confidence in himself.
Me and the guys had such a good time, we decided to keep it going with a little after barbecue. To the backyard, boys!
Stan!
Stan!
Only, remember, Roger made this outfit, and Roger is clingier than duct tape, or that leech fish from that one episode of Camp Lazlo.
I'll cling to you for that remark!
Roger's only request was that after the barbecue, Stan would have a drink with him, but he forgets to, and Roger took that personally. Even if he's having fun, why should Roger care?
Every time I achieve a great creative peak, it's followed by a depressive rut. And you, in my time of greatest emotional need, abandon me to run off with your new friends!
Stan swears that Roger will have his full attention whenever he desires. Only Roger, and this involves putting like a sound system so he can always moan, texting him, and then cutting holes into his bedroom.
I can't keep living like this.
Stan tries to invite Roger out with his CIA friends, who are all actually happy to meet a fashion designer and want to learn tips, but Jennings acts like a B-word the whole time.
So, how do you come up with the designs?
Let's see, I think of the idea for the clothes, then I make the clothes, and then the clothes are done. Do we have a waitress?
And then, when Stan tries to fight back, he takes back the clothes.
You don't deserve my clothes!
Oh, of course Roger would do this. Stan's confidence is gone, and Bullock suspends him for a week. Eventually, Klaus and Martha call out Roger, so Roger makes Stan new clothes.
Well, Stan, how does your new suit look?
It's a clothes version of the Holocaust.
You don't like it, I can tell.
He gives Stan back his uniform, but he leaves a meaningful little message in the fabric, which majorly helps Stan. Despite this, I have to wonder, does Roger really know how to make clothes?
I lied to Klaus, Martha. As you well know, I do not know how to make clothes. I lied to Martha, Steve.
Okay. Do you or do you not know how to make clothes?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with yes. Or, while he's not like an expert, he has cosplayer level skills. Like, he can go to a thrift store and then turn something into like a ball gown.
Oh, no. No. You're just telling me what I want to hear because you're desperate.
No, I'm desperate!
You swear!